Championship. Tonight's telecast is being brought to you by Budweiser Beechwood Age. For that clean, crisp taste, this Bud's for you. By Columbia 300. By Seagram's Wine Cooler. It's wet and it's dry. Here's a preview of tonight's matches. Outstanding talent in the opening match. Teata Semiz will try and make it 2 in a row. The PBA's president, Carmen Salvino, will try and stand in his way. The number 3 bowler missed this championship by just a few sticks last year. Bob Kwolek out of Dayton, Ohio. Bowling out of the number 2 position, it's Mr. 900, Glenn Allison out of Whittier, California. And the top seed for tonight's championship is 50-year-old Bus Oswalt of Indiana. Hello, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio, for the finals of the $115,000 Kessler PBA Seniors Championship. Mike Durbin, life must begin anew after the age of 50. These pros this week, the seniors, put on an outstanding scoring show for the folks in Canton.
I was looking through the statistical things tonight, Denny, and I found out that all 5 players in our championship round tonight combined averaged 232 for the tournament. And what's even more impressive is all the matches that they bowled against one another, there was only one game under 200. That was 197 by our tournament leader, Bus Oswalt.
We're expecting perhaps some high scores on the championship pair. The pros bowled excellent through the match play portion this week on lanes 39 and 40.
And the 5 players bowling on 39 and 40 averaged 228. So maybe, we haven't had a 300 all summer, maybe it can come from one of the senior players.
Well, let's take a look at one of the players that will be involved in that opening match here this evening.
And we're going to look at the player who won last week, Teata Semiz. Coming up, 5-step player. Teata keeps the ball relatively straight. This is his 2nd straight appearance in our championship round. He just loves these seniors tournaments. Look at that deep knee bend, the long slide, the good follow-through. Teata is a down and in player. He likes to keep the ball in play, doesn't throw the big hook, but he doesn't beat himself. He's got that ball in the pocket. He makes his spares. As we saw last week, he can get those clutch strikes.
Speaking of last week, Carmen Salvino missed the 10-pin in the 10th frame. It cost he and Jimmy Pritz a shot at maybe advancing, so he's looking for retribution here this evening.
I think it speaks a little bit of Carmen's character to come back after a miscue, an error like that, where he cost his team a chance of winning by missing that 10-pin, to shake that off and come back and make the championship round for the 3rd time this year in a seniors event. Carmen is a 4-step player. He holds the ball down, a style that he originated, pushes it out. Perfect timing, the long slide. Look at the follow-through. The thing to watch with Carmen's bowling, as I was pointing out to you last night, is his follow-through. If his follow-through is going straight up, Carmen is an outstanding player and he beats just about anybody. But if his follow-throughs vary inside or outside, then a lot of times Carmen has trouble. We'll watch for that tonight.
Mike, in past years, to win a seniors championship, you had to bowl well, but the competition now is fierce. These 5 players tonight are just terrific.
Well, I think the most impressive statistic that we can look at is from our tournament leader, Bus Oswalt, averaged 240 for 36 games. That's higher than we've had anybody all summer. So even though these guys are 50 years old, they can still knock down those pins.
Knocking down pins, 3 300 games this week at the Hall of Fame lanes and several 299s.
That's right. So maybe we can get that 300 on television tonight.
Well, stay tuned because the opening match is coming your way. We just might see a perfect game this evening to wrap up the 1986 PBA Summer Tour. In the opening match, it's Carmen Salvino against Teata Semiz.
Strength, pride, tradition. For centuries, the Clydesdale has been known as a special breed. Today, the Clydesdales symbolize Budweiser's dedication to quality, superior ingredients, exclusive beechwood aging, and a distinctively clean, crisp taste that only Budweiser can offer. Quality taste. Because this Bud's for you.
After years of research, the high-tech laboratories of Columbia 300 have created the most advanced urethane bowling ball ever made, the 100% urethane Columbia 300 U-Dot. The extraordinary U-Dot solves the inherent problems of lope and wobble Its devastating pin power and superior lane control characteristics are unequaled. If you bowl to win, the Columbia 300 UDOT is the ultimate weapon. It's like no ball ever made before. Sold only in lanes and pro shops.
The essence of bobsledding. The new sled feels like gliding on silk. The essence of shaving. This is Atra Plus, an incredible advance in Gillette shaving smoothness. The Plus is the white Lubra Smooth strip that releases lubricants as you shave. You never felt anything smoother. Atra Plus by Gillette, the essence of shaving.
This has been a test. If it has caused a real pizza emergency, you are instructed to go directly to Pizza Hut and order their famous pan pizza with your favorite toppings.
Welcome back to the Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio. There you see him. Teata Semiz, a winner last week against Carmen Salvino. Mike Durbin, talk about seasoned veterans in the opening match.
Two seasoned veterans bowling on lanes 39 and 40 here at the Hall of Fame lanes, and it's general consensus that lane 39 is a little bit tighter than 40. And if any practice means anything, Teata was just crushing him at the end, and Carmen was struggling.
Opening shot, opening match, and it's a good one for Teata Semiz, who teamed up last week with Joe Berardi to win down in Erlanger, Kentucky. So Teata looking for his second straight PBA title.
Carmen was struggling, especially on this right-hand lane. Let's see if he can master it once the lights come on.
Carmen also a championship round finalist last week. He and Jimmy Pritz Jr. finished fourth. Carmen trying to match strikes, rips the 5 out, and the 7-pin wiggles just a touch, but it will not go down.
Good shot by Carmen, just a bad result.
High game this week for Carmen was 289, had a low effort of 190. And he averaged 223.3 on the TV pair.
And you watch the 5-pin and the one right in the middle, and it goes right in front, and the head pin also bounced right around that 7, but nothing knocked it over. Going for the spare, Carmen has it.
Mike, has it been my imagination, or have the pins here at Hall of Fame lanes been flying excessively this week?
Well, anytime you get scores as high as the pros and the seniors have shot this week, then you know that the carry, in other words, I mean by the carry, that when you hit that 1-3 or 1-2 pocket, you knock down all 10 instead of 9, that the carry is pretty good, and it has been good. You're right, the pins have been flying.
Carmen, the current president of the Professional Bowlers Association. In this opening match, by the way, we have 54 years of PBA experience. Carmen with 28 being a charter member, and Teata has been a professional in the PBA for 26 years. Salvino trying to salvage and strike in the second, and he gets a late hit on the 10-pin, and he strikes in frame 2.
And you mentioned that we had how many years? 50 what?
54.
54 years of experience as we see Carmen's reaction to that solid strike. Just kind of smacks his hands. Among the 5 players tonight bowling at the Hall of Fame lanes in this Hall of Fame city, they are members of 16 Hall of Fames.
And they're not done yet.
Right.
Teata Semiz looking for a double. Jump ahead in this opening match.
Teata said that the thing that he was concentrating on the most is he wanted to keep the ball over toward, as we see the result of this errant shot right through the heart, breaking up the split, leaving only the 3-6. He wanted to keep the ball over positioned toward the pad of his index finger, just below the base of the index finger. And on that one, I don't think he did it, because he didn't stay behind that shot. He turned it a little early and went high. That's what he was concentrating on last week when he bowled so well on television. He said that was the key for him tonight. When he doesn't do that, when he gets his thumb down, then he said he rolls over the top of the ball, and all kinds of bad things can happen.
Mike, obviously the pros watch the pros, because in chatting with Teata before the telecast this evening, he intimated that he found that little tidbit in Dave Husted's game. And Husted's been hot this summer, so obviously the pros watch each other.
Well, you can't pick a better guy to watch.
Oh,
the
boy.
guy made his $60,000 so far this summer.
Not too bad, and better than 90 for the year. First effort was a strike on the left-hand lane for Semiz. He hits the pocket again, but the 10-pin stands.
Better shot, just not a good result.
Last week, Teata mentioned the help that he received from local Akron teaching pro Freddie Borden, who is getting rave reviews at this point on his new book, entitled Bowling, Knowledge is the Key. And speaking of publications, don't forget to look for the 1986 Kessler Bowling Handbook at all of your favorite bowling centers, as there's the cross alley spare. And it looks like Teata thinking to himself there. Do you think he's trying to consider just what he did in that shot?
I think he's
almost reviewing.
Yeah, I think he anticipated getting out to a quick start, and he's kind of disappointed in himself that he didn't.
Salvino trying to double and making an 11-pin lead. Gives it plenty of room. And this time a little bit of a wall shot as Carmen sort of backs away slowly, realizing that perhaps he might have gotten away with one.
Well, a little fortunate there. Head pin went to the wall and knocked out that 4-5-7. Dick Weber's been doing that for years. Now watch it. The ball will deflect to the right. The head pin goes to the left. There goes the ball. Here comes the head pin back. Hits the 4. The 4 hits the 5, and the head pin hit the 7.
There was a lot of wood standing there at one time.
Well, yeah,
of course, Carmi will tell you it was the finger.
Look at his result. The fingers as he kind of waves his fingers at it. Carmen is playing deeper on the left lane than he is the right. It's interesting. At the last part of the practice session, he moved out on the right lane.
Looking for 3 in a row. This one got into the oil a little bit, and he tickles them all. And Salvino is now taking a commanding lead. He leads by 21 pins over Teata Semiz in the opening match.
Hey, me fellas, look here. Seagulls, golden wine cooler, seagulls, golden wine cooler, it's wet and it's dry, golden wine cooler, my, golden wine cooler, me and the boys, love all the time, golden wine cooler, it's wet and it's dry, golden wine cooler.
For every man who wears Brute, there's a woman who loves what he smells like. Because there's something about Brute that's nice to be close to. And nobody knows that better than a woman.
Hello? Honey, I was just thinking about you.
Brute cologne, deodorant, and everything else. Brute, it smells like a man.
Hey there, sleepy eyes. Morning's here. Time to come alive.
Ghost, the scent opens your eyes. Ghost, lather, and you realize that ghost is the way to make you feel alive. Ghost, feel alive with Ghost.
It'll work on your dandruff. Yeah, but I'm afraid it won't leave my hair the way I like it. Hey, this is great stuff.
Today's Head & Shoulders.
It's all I use. Okay.
Tough dandruff protection that works only on your scalp, not your hair. Gentle conditioners go there.
Tough on dandruff, right? But great on hair.
Today's Head & Shoulders. Dandruff care that's good for your hair.
Should we see a 300 game this evening in the PBA Kessler Seniors Classic? $25,000, a beautiful check there. By the way, between these 5 finalists, Mike Durbin, 56 career perfect games, so you never know.
Well, it won't be won this first game, we know that.
Teata Semiz finds himself trailing by 21. Carmen Salvino working on a turkey. And we're in the 4th. Teata with a little extra time on this shot. Went through the nose in the second, but not this time. Flush hit on the right-hand lane. Last week, Teata Semiz was about as hot as you could possibly get, winning out of the top-seeded position with Joe Berardi. I asked him, Teata, can you make it 2 in a row this week?
Well, Denny, I like to win 2 in a row. I said there's 3 or 4 opponents ahead of me that are real good bowlers from years ago, and just got to get lucky out here to do that.
You are. Boy, with Carmen Salvino and Bob Kwolek, Glenn Allison, and Bus Oswalt standing in the way. Oh, pretty tough crew to mow down.
21 down, can cut it to 11 if he can double. Is there.
He liked that from the instant it left his hand, Mike.
He was running it out for sure. He wants to put a little heat on Mr. Salvino.
No, wait a minute. The seniors don't run out strikes, do they? They sort of...
Well, Teata's a young senior.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're right. Teata, only 52. Carmen, 53 years of age. Glenn Allison, the oldest of the seniors on the telecast this evening. He's 56. And, of course, Bus Oswalt, he's the new kid on the block. He's only 50. Salvino for a 4-bagger. And he's going to get a break. 5-pin rolled around a little bit and ended up taking out the 7.
Well, that's 3 breaks in a row, really. I'll tell you, all on light hits. What did Billy Whalen used to say years and years ago? As we see the result here, the 5-pin barely falls over, rolls over, and, well, he used to say it was the tender touch and to hit him thin and watch him spin and all those good words.
Well, anymore, doesn't it seem like the contemporary shot, though, Mike, maybe the best shot in bowling now is the real good hook and hitting light in the pocket?
Well,
don't you think it carries better than maybe the solid hits?
The light hit does seem to carry better than the solid, yes.
Carmen looking to stay alive, and oh my, what a horrible break that was. Gets the solid 9. And earlier this evening, I asked Carmen if he felt he might be able to become the first player to win this championship twice.
Well, I think I've got a good chance, Denny, because I'll tell you, I'm in shape. The field's a little tough, but I feel like if I get going, I'm going to go right through 'em, like a big machine.
And the big machine leads right now. Carmen, I don't know, that's psychological warfare. He may be better at that than he is on the bowling lanes, Mike.
Well, Carmen got 4 good breaks in a row, and then suddenly got a bad break, leaving that solid 9-pin.
See what I told you about those solid hits? They'll get you in trouble.
Right, you called it.
Salvino leads by 20, but Teata Semiz could cut into that lead should he strike in the 6th. Excellent opening match.
Gotta hurry. Ooh, and he gets a break, too. I guess that hit him thin works.
Well, the seniors aren't supposed to have that kind of area, are they, Mike?
Watch, he barely gets a piece of the headpin. The headpin goes to the wall, barely hits the 2. The 2 hits the 5. They all dance around. And there's his reaction. That's the break he needed. Now, usually when a pro is on a roll, he gets a break like that, the next shot he throws super and just stuffs it right in the pocket.
Looking for the 4-bagger now, shooting in the 7th.
To get him even.
Yep. He's thinking about running it out, and he does. Or I should say maybe he sidesteps it out. But Teata Semiz has come storming back, and he is now even with Carmen Salvino.
It is the biggest carpet sale in history.
We're blowing away high prices.
Every price tag has been slashed.
Tired of all this theatrical hoopla? At Imperial Carpet, your carpet investment is too important for extravagant claims. Imperial Carpet offers experience, respected manufacturers, expert advice, enormous selection, superior installation, plus complete satisfaction. A store you can trust. That's Imperial Carpet.
You work at Jim Marsh?
That's right.
I understand I can get 4.9% interest on any new Volvo, Mazda, Jeep, or Renault, plus every vehicle red tag, discounts up to $5,000, and now you've added factory rebates up to $1,000, and I can get all 3 at the same time?
That's right.
What are you guys trying to do down there? Put everyone else out of business?
That's right.
457-8033, or come on over to Jim Mart's.
Get that all-American feeling with live college football on ESPN. You're on campus with the sights and sounds surrounding the nation's #1 teams. Cheer with the best every Saturday night and with exclusive Thursday night specials. Live college football on ESPN for that all-American feeling. See Miami, the top-ranked team in preseason polls, take on South Carolina in ESPN's live CFA season premiere. Saturday, August 30th at 8 Eastern.
And there you see Carmen's most ardent fan, his lovely wife, Jenny.
I wonder how many games she sat back of him and watched.
She was there last week in Erlanger, Kentucky. Well, we've bowled 7 frames, and we're all even Steven here in the opening match, the $115,000 Kessler PBA Seniors Championship. The Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio. Salvino trying to draw some more blood, and he does. Beautiful shot by Carmen. Maybe the best shot he's thrown in the match.
Absolutely. Did you see his follow-through on that shot? Follow-through just went straight up. Can't throw it any better than that. Now we'll see how he throws it for the double.
Waiting in the wings, Bob Kwolek out of Dayton, Ohio, who lost this championship in a heartbreaking affair last year. He struck out and forced Billy Walden to strike, and Walden did.
A couple of clutch performances.
Here's a good look at the scoreboard.
Match all even. Salvino to take the lead. Light. Didn't get the break this time. Kind of came up at the foul line. Didn't stay down with the shot. The ball didn't quite finish.
Do you miss the leverage when you come up a little bit, Mike?
Definitely. You miss the leverage when you just don't stay. He's going in that last step. Slides through now. See him come up right there as he let it go?
Ball just didn't seem to have much on it.
Right. Almost got the break. That kind of hit carried for Teata. Uh-oh. All right, he's got it.
Cross
alley conversion over there.
Yeah, you're right. Last year, Bus Oswalt was the oldest senior to participate at the tender age of 78. This year, Buzz is ailing, and we would like to extend get well wishes from all of the players in this year's Seniors Championship to one of the greatest players of all time. Come on, Buzzer. Oh, outstanding shot by Teata Semiz, and that's a big, big shot in the 8th frame. He leads by 10.
The thing to watch about Teata Semiz is his knee bend with his right knee on his next to last step. Watch this knee bend now as he gets right here. See that deep, deep knee bend? That causes that long, long slide. See, it's parallel to the ground. The long slide, the long extended. Boy, you can't throw it any better than that under pressure.
Tough to bend down when you're 52 like that, too. The legs just don't want to operate from time to time. But Teata in excellent shape. Still bowls quite a bit on the PBA National Tour against the young pups. Looking to really slam the door, and a clutch shot in the 9th. Semiz, since the 3rd frame, has just been perfect. That's a 6-bagger.
And he's gone from a 21-pin deficit to a 20-pin lead. Salvino now is in the unenviable position of forcing himself here to strike in the 9th and get all 3 in the 10th. Carmen is still potential 249.
The pros picking up where they left off all week long here at the Hall of Fame lanes by striking.
And if you watch Carmen's follow-through on that, it went a little bit left that time, indicating he didn't get the left that he wanted. Watch Carmen here. And watch the follow-through as he comes through. There's his timing. Perfect. The timing's perfect right there. Watch the follow-through. See the elbow break?
Mm-hmm.
That made the ball not finish. The spare shot, he didn't do that, and the spare shot was a good shot.
Why would that happen, Mike? Is he afraid maybe that he's not going to be able to hook the ball back to the pocket, trying to help it a little bit?
He wasn't as sure of himself on the right lane. Exactly right, Dan, that he was afraid that ball wouldn't get back, and he tried to help it up a little bit.
So for Carmen, should he strike out, it would be 237. But right now, Teata Semiz rolling at a 269 pace if he would strike out in the 10th.
Carmen is still alive. If he can strike out, he would force Semiz to mark.
If anybody can do it, Salvino can.
Got that first one. Knocked that 10-pin right out of there.
Carmen with an 11-5 match play record this past week. Averaged a blistering 228.8. And if I'm not mistaken, he was low man on the totem pole.
Low man in the top 5, right.
Wow. Boy, they did knock down some wood this week.
This will put him in the 230s if he can get this one and force Semiz to mark.
Anything can happen, and usually does.
Watch the 10-pin. Just didn't get it out of there.
6-pin nearly tapped it away,
right,
but just didn't quite get enough help.
So Semiz just needs to show up, stay behind the foul line, keep the ball in the lane, and he's going to be the winner of the first match.
And that's a key, especially when you start in the number 5 position. Win the opening game. It gives you momentum. Also loosen up just a little bit. You get a chance to feel out the lanes, and you might have an edge on the next guy in line. As Salvino bows out with a beautiful 227. Teata distracted momentarily, backs off the approach, and he's working on a six-bagger.
Just make sure he stays behind the line. Well behind it. That's a winner right there. Teata looks strong. He looks strong in practice.
His high game this week was 290. Low game was 184, and for his 36-game effort this week, Teata Semiz out of Cedar Grove, New Jersey, averaged 232.8. On the year, Teata averaging just a fraction better than 206 on the PBA National Tour, so the score is just a touch inflated this week. Had the tees up a little bit this week, and the pins in the center of the greens. Right?
Yeah, the pins are definitely in the center of the greens.
Semiz with yet another strike. He's going to shoot 260-something. And we were commenting earlier this evening. Mike and I were chatting about the 297 from Jim Harvey. Dave Husted shot a 290 game. We've had some high scores on ESPN's coverage this summer.
He gets one more. He has 10 strikes.
That's a lot of strikes in an opening game. And guess what? Teata Semiz is locked in, Mike, at this stage. Right-hand lane, he did not miss. And the fans here very appreciative of the effort. Boy, you would think that 227 would be good enough to win, Mike, but in this case, it wasn't even close.
42-pin loser, but Salvino won his last game to get into the championship round tonight, so we see right there the difference. Salvino started out to the early lead, but Semiz, once he got lined up, just never stopped striking.
And just about every shot was flush in the pocket. I think in the 7th or the 8th frame, he got away with a bit of a tickler, but other than that, he was just zeroed in. And so Bob Kwolek will have his hands full. Teata Semiz winning the opening match, 269-227.
Like many before, you came here asking for just one thing.
Sadowski. Shibolski.
A chance.
Pronounced Shibolski.
You're gonna make it here, 'cause you make America work, and this fight's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the heavyweight champion of the work.
Dickies work clothes. It's the best-selling work set in America because it's made of the heaviest, toughest fabric in America, fortified with Fortrell. We don't have to knock out the competition. We wear them out. Dickies, the heavyweight champion of the work. Dickies makes everything in work clothes. But who says you have to work in them?
The Seagram's Premium Wine Cooler Bowling News. Welcome to the final edition. Denny Schreiner along with my partner Mike Durbin. Mike, we've had lots of fun this summer. We're wrapping it up with an outstanding PBA Seniors Championship.
And this outstanding Seniors Tournament is the 10th one that we've had in the history of the PBA, and has probably been the highest scoring ever. There's been 300s this week, 299s, and our tournament leader, Bus Oswalt, averaged a whopping 240 for 36 games.
Ouch, that's a lot of pins to knock down. Remember back in 1981 when they had the very first PBA Seniors Championship at Don Carter's house in New Orleans? I believe they had 50 to 55 entries in that tournament. This week, 98 seniors shoot it up here at the Hall of Fame lanes.
And I remember that particular tournament back at Don Carter's in 1981. Bill Beach was the tournament winner, and he was the only bowler to average over 200. This week was a big improvement and a lot more entertaining.
Times have changed. Also some very big numbers, but since we are wrapping up the 86 Summer Tour, let's now check out the PBA money list and find out who is atop the stack at this point. Walter Ray Williams Jr. with better than $122,000.
He's followed by Big Steve Cook, and of course, Marshall Holman is hanging near the top with $108,000.
Dave Husted and Don Janello rounding out the top 5. And as we look on down the list, Mark Baker's been idle all summer long with an injury, and still he is number 6 in the money.
Good-looking Brian Voss is 7th. Tom Kreitz, our national champion. David Ozio is 8th. And last year's money leader, Mike Albee, rounds out the top 10.
The touring pros are shooting for big dollars from week to week, but now, since 1981, the seniors are beginning to accrue some career money earnings. Let's take a look at that list.
They're getting some big money. I'm getting jealous of all this money. It's led by the great Dick Weber with $56,000.
And as we look on down that list, Carmen Salvino, a finalist here this evening, would like to add to his earnings. Bill Beach, number 5.
In 6th place is last week's winner, Teata Semiz. In 7th, last year's runner-up, Bob Kwolek.
And then rounding out the top 10, Jimmy Schreiner, Bob Perry, and also the great Ed Bourdain. What an outstanding summer for bowling on ESPN. We've seen everything from Jim Harvey's 297 game to Dale Eagle going right through the field in Seattle. Some great shows and some great matches on ESPN.
We've really been blessed, Denny. We've had high scores. We've had close matches. As you said, we've had the 5th place bowler going from 5th to 1st. We've had tournament leaders win. So we just had a really fortunate summer and a blessed summer where we've had high scores and close competition.
I spent most of the summer sitting on the edge of my seat. Some of the players that had outstanding summers on ESPN. We'll take a look now at some of the leading money winners and how well they did. There he is, Dave Husted, heading up the list, and he would like to bowl every summer like 1986.
$60,365, almost doubled Steve Cook at $30,000. Brian Voss third with $29,000.
And on down the list, Walter Ray Williams Jr., $28,685. Mats Carlson and Dale Eagle right behind.
The great Dick Weber made a fantastic $24,000 this summer. Don Janello, $21,000, and John Gant, $21,800.
Now, Mike, it's not all money that you have to look at as far as numbers are concerned on the summer tour, but some averages, some outstanding averages, big high numbers through the 12 weeks.
I'm anxious to see this, Denny. I know we've had high scores all summer long. I'm kind of curious to see just how high those scores were and what the averages were. John Gant led the parade with a 221.4, and Carmen Salvino at 218. Another senior, Les Zykes, at 218.
That's a vote of confidence for the elder statesmen, Dave Husted, Dick Weber, and Brian Voss. Boy, what great years Husted and Voss have had on the summer tour. Speaking of that summer tour, just a moment or so, we're going to take a look back at the 11 previous champions and how they captured their titles on ESPN. Any closing thoughts before we get to the video?
Well, the closing thoughts I have on this summer is that it's been exciting. We've had so many matches come right down to the 10th frame that the player either struck out to lock up the match or he needed to strike out to win. So I think it's been a real good summer all the way through. We've had a lot of different people win. We've had some straight shooters win. We've had some hook ball bowlers win, left-handers win. So it's been an outstanding summer of bowling, I think. Then.
A wide variety of ways to the pocket. So now let's take a look back at all those victories on the 1986 PBA Summer Tour. The bowling news is being brought to you by Seagram's Premium Wine Cooler.
What would you like?
Oh, I don't know. What do I feel like?
Why not try something you've never had before?
Is that a line?
No, it's a drink. Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler. It's wet, it's dry, it's new, and it's Seagram's.
You sound like a commercial.
You buying it?
The drink? Yeah, but not the line.
It's a start.
New Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler. It's wet and it's dry.
I'd like to take just one moment to extend our wishes, our best wishes, to Bud Fisher, the Public Relations Director for the Professional Bowlers Association, who will be retiring in the very near future after 27 years of outstanding service. During his career, he was honored by the Bowling Writers Association of America with their highest honor, but also achieved the PBA's ultimate honor, election into the Hall of Fame back in 1983. He's traveled 1 million miles and made probably 2 million friends for the PBA and also for the sport of bowling.
Well, Bud was inducted into the Hall of Fame the same year that I was, and I've had a lot of discussions with Bud, but Bud, I'm going to miss you even though.
The press room will never be the same. Let's get back now to the tournament this week. Of course, the Kessler Seniors Championship here at the Hall of Fame lanes. The scores were high, and the elder statesmen shot some 300 gamers.
We had 3 300 games so far this week, Denny. Maybe we have a chance for one on the show tonight. It was led by Bill Beach, Doug Johnson, and our assistant tournament director, Harry Smith, at a 300. Several 299s, Jack Horner and Glenn Pierce, Cecil Cadell with 290, and Teata Semiz with a 290. Our weekly stat chart this week. Lefties averaged 207. The right-handers a little better at 209. You needed 212 to cash and 220 to make the top 18. What you needed for the championship round, 232. That's what I meant by high scores this week. Best match play record, Glenn Allison with 13-5. Carmen Salvino had 22 consecutive 200s, and Teata Semiz had 34 games over 200 out of a possible 36.
Mike, without a doubt, this was probably the strongest 18-man field in a seniors tournament ever. I believe that there were 7 Hall of Famers among the top 18.
7 Hall of Famers. We've got a couple Hall of Famers on our telecast tonight, and we have a bowler on our telecast tonight that shot a 900 series, so I'm looking forward to some more exciting bowling.
And what about the players who did not quite get up over the hill and make the telecast here this evening?
Well, we don't have a top 24 this week. We have a top 18. Jack Lang lost the last game to Carmen Salvino. The great Dick Weber finished 7th. Glenn Pierce was 9th. Harry Smith snuck in there for 10th. J.B. Blaylock at 12th. Bill Bunetta made the finals this week. Bill Beach, former champion here. Cecil Cadell in 18th place went to Walt Roy out of Glenwood Springs, Colorado.
The bowling news has been brought to you by Seagram's Premium Wine Cooler. Coming up in the next match, Teata Semiz with a victory over Carmen Salvino. He'll have to match up with a man who bowled out of the top-seeded position a year ago here at the Hall of Fame Lanes, Dayton's Bob Kwolek.
Attention, through special financial arrangement, Friendly Ford gives you no payments till 1987 on over 500 new cars and trucks.
No payments till January 1987?
That's right. Plus, get factory financing as low as 6.9%.
You mean I get 6.9% and no payments till 1987 at Friendly Ford?
You got it, but it only lasts for 10 days.
Wow, that's a great deal.
Come get the deal that you've been looking for at Friendly Ford.
From the opening bell to the final buzzer, the Showboat Racing Sportsbook puts you in the middle of the action all the time. Feel the thrills, ride the winners, cash in on the excitement. It's all here at the Showboat Racing Sportsbook. So different, you'll have to experience it yourself. Come in and let the Showboat get you in the game like you've never been before. The Showboat Racing Sportsbook. We're out to make an impression on you, because when it comes to sports...
Upcoming on ESPN, it's International Festival of Racing, live weeknights at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that, of course, is concluding Thursday, August 28th at 5 p.m. Eastern, live. And the site is Arlington Park in Illinois. Some outstanding racing coming your way.
And our third-place qualifier tonight is Bob Kwolek. Never won a PBA title yet. 5-step player, holds the ball waist high, kind of drops it down there. Short backswing, short follow-through to the right. Keeps the ball in play. He's a down and in player, accurate. Most of the players are down and in tonight. Bob bowled super here last year, led the tournament, shot 235, and lost the tournament in one-game match. Seemed to be struggling a bit on the right lane. He's picked a finish on the left lane. Teata Semiz holds the hot hand right now. Has to be the odds-on favorite to win this match.
Teata with an opening game victory over Carmen Salvino, 269-227. Teata with 10 strikes in the opening match, including the last 9. Trying to take a leg up in the first frame. It's actually 10 straight now.
10 in a row. He gets 2 more, and he can have an Andy Garapapa for 300.
Which meant 12 at any given time, whether it was in practice or tournament play.
Right.
How many 300s did he end up with? About 80 or something?
I think about 85 or 87,
wow.
Something like that.
Kind of like Art Wall in golf for those hole-in-ones. Only Walls, those are good. Of course, Garapapa, one of the greatest bowlers of all time. Great trick shot artist. Bob Kwolek.
Gives it a lot of room. He was going high his last 2 practice shots, and rather than move the line left, he opted to try and throw it further right, and it didn't work. You see Bob from the side, in the back here, long slide, swings it out almost to the first arrow, gets out about the 4th board, just not going to make it back. He needs to tighten the line and get it closer to the 2nd arrow, in my opinion. Tough spare to start with. In fact, he started with this spare last year and missed it.
Probably thinking about that. Hurry up and, oh my goodness, deja vu. And he turns around, smiles at his wife, shakes his head, and realizes that history does repeat itself.
It's the exact same thing he did last year. Left at 2-8, and he missed it last year in the first frame. He misses it this year in the first frame.
Well, it'll be interesting if he shoots 237 this evening. Lightning would have struck twice in the same spot, but that was not good enough. Billy Walden shot 252. So Bob Kwolek with a mistake in the first. He'll have to try and shake it off.
Ball just didn't quite finish enough. Not enough fingers in the shot. Picks up another ball here to shoot the spare with, something that's going to go a little bit straighter at that 10-pin.
Bob's match play record this week, 12 wins, 6 losses. Averaged just a touch better than 230 per game. Had a high game of 279, a low game of 177. Cross alley spare, shoots it with a different ball and hangs on. Well, Kwolek claps his hands, but obviously, Mike, he has to be disappointed. He just relived last year.
Well, he's thinking, well, I started this way last year and still came on. But the thing is that Semiz right now is so hot that he has an opportunity to just really put his opponent in a hole in the first 3 frames of the match.
Carmen, or I should say Tito, while sitting on the bench, took an 11-pin lead. Would extend it to 21. Looks at it, likes it, and there's a solid double, the 11 straight strikes. Starting with the first 2 here in game number 2. Teata Semiz averaged only 211 on the championship pair throughout the tournament. In match play competition, shot 217 and 205. He had the lowest average of all the players.
Well, you said he was saving it for the TV show.
Numbers aren't everything, right? Did you ever think much about that, Mike? The night of the championship final, how you did on the pair the previous evening?
Sometimes, you know, if I had bowled well on the pair, but sometimes they change. In fact, you can almost count on them to change. Time for one more. And I just want to say, I said that we might have a 300 tonight. I didn't say that it would be an Andy Brown.
Don't start hedging your bets on me. Well, the good folks at True Value Hardware will offer $25,000 should any of our professionals shoot 300 here this evening. I wonder if Tita will send him a little note in the mail and maybe ask for something, because he did have a dozen in a row.
Kwolek has got to get it going. And that's what he was doing on the right lane. He needs to move his line left on that lane, and he's out about the 7th board. He needs to get it in around the 8th or 9th board, and he's going to be history in this match in a hurry.
And a classic over-adjustment there for Bob Kwolek, who went light and missed the same spare he did in the opening frame last year. Picks off 2 pins, but he's found himself in a world of trouble at this point. After just missing last year, though, I asked him earlier tonight if he thought he could win this PBA Seniors Championship.
Well, I think they're good. The lanes are to my liking. They have been here for the last couple of years. And one game match, you never know what's going to happen. So we're just going to give her our full shot. Hope it's enough.
Needs a strike desperately to get himself back into the match. Hurry up. No help at all from the 6. And Kwolek right now struggling.
Well, he's got the pocket down on the left lane, but he can't get a strike. He hasn't found the pocket on lane 40 that hooks more than 39. He needs to get his line deeper on lane 40. Either that, or if he's going to stay where he is, he's got to throw it harder.
Once again, same result on the cross alley spare on 39. So Kwolek makes 2 10-pins, but Teata Semiz leads by 45 pins. He is on a roll right now. Stay tuned.
When that first warning itch of athlete's foot strikes, you want to stop that itch in seconds. Not even the leading remedy says it can do that, but Absorbine Jr. can. Absorbine Jr. also kills athlete's foot fungus on contact. So when that first warning itch of athlete's foot strikes, why wait 24 hours for relief when Absorbine Jr. can stop that itch in seconds? Absorbine Jr. can do that. It really can.
Give me a light. A Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Case of light? No, Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
A Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else
Thanks.
is just a light.
America's small business people are getting ready to tell the White House where they stand, where they're going, and what they need to get the job done. I'm Mark Schultz. Beginning Monday, August 18th, Nation's Business Today will take a close look at the White House Conference on Small Business and its hottest issues, the liability crisis, tax reform, small business investment. A day-to-day report on the men and women shaping the future of American small business, starting August 18th here on ESPN.
This week on ESPN, it's Auto Racing 86, a NASCAR doubleheader beginning live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, August 22nd, and also the 23rd. Some terrific racing coming your way on ESPN. And there she is, Miss Kessler, Kathy Armitage, smiling. She's obviously enjoying the bowling here this evening, and I would say there are probably several folks in the audience that are enjoying Kathy being here tonight.
Teata trying for one more. Has 3 in a row this game and 12 in a row combined.
He's liable to strike all night. The right-hand lane has been favorable to him. This one swung wide. Going to have to hurry. How about some help? Nope, not quite there. And Teata walks off the approach, and I think he's happy with 9.
Interested onlooker there as Teata goes a little bit high. He actually threw this ball wide, and the ball did what we call overreact. He grabbed that dry spot on the lane too quick and started hooking too soon and went high.
Mike, in the back of his mind, was Teata thinking that he had 12 strikes in a row, or do you think he had just forgotten last game and was starting on this game?
I think he'd forgotten last game and was starting on this game, and he may have been thinking that he could get 12 in a row this game, but sometimes you slow down a little bit after that commercial break.
Well, he's been near perfect all night long, trying to become the first player.
There we see the scoreboard there. X's for Semiz and zeros for Kwolek.
Didn't take him long to get right back on the track, though. Teata now leads by 44, and he is trying to become the first player to win 2 straight PBA championships this year. Of course, both being senior-oriented last week. The Columbia Senior Pro Touring Doubles down in Erlanger, Kentucky. He teamed up with Joe Berardi.
He moved the line in. He moved it in. Moved a little left with his feet and about 1.5 boards with his target, and it went right to the pocket. That's all he had to do was move that line in. Now watch this shot. It's going to be closer to the second arrow. You see, it's just to the right of the second arrow. As compared to the first frame, he was out close to that first arrow. The result, the ball made a more even arc. That's the result. Now, if he's left 2 10 pins on this left lane, he's either got to get a little more lift or fudge a hair right to get the ball solid to get that 10 pin out. Good speed, but it's going a little high. Trips the 4. Got the break.
Well, he started slow out of the gate last year in that championship game and came marching back as his lovely wife looks on, and I think she's just a tad nervous at this point because she knows how well Teata Semiz has been bowling.
Semiz for a double. Oh, really knocking that 10 pin out of there.
Teata Semiz is about as hot as you can get at this stage. Opening game, he beat Salvino 269-227. It was a very close match. As a matter of fact, he trailed by 21 at one stage and really flip-flopped that leaderboard right around.
Well, he's carried almost every time he's hit the pocket. I think he's only lost 1 hit. Trying for one more. He's running it out. He's really knocking that weak 10 out of there.
Right now, he can do no wrong, and he has opened up a commanding 54-pin lead, but Bob Kwolek is working on a double.
The upset of the week is brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need. The good old boys of NASCAR returned to the winding curves of Watkins Glen, New York last weekend. The twist of the track took their toll on the leaders, including Jeff Bodine. Darrell Waltrip used a crucial pit stop to take the lead, but it was Tim Richmond who passes Waltrip with a nice inside move, and he goes on to take the checkered flag at Watkins Glen. A win on the NASCAR circuit by Tim Richmond at the Glen. The Pepto-Bismol upset of the week.
Tomorrow is homecoming, and this campus will be filled with parents. But today, Jane's dad is coming home with a bad case of diarrhea.
I feel so weak.
Oh, let's get you into bed.
Tomorrow's homecoming.
You won't miss it.
The one he needs is Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, it soothes heartburn and upset stomach, as well as diarrhea.
I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, me too, honey.
Pepto-Bismol, the one that coats, is the only one you need.
What are you doing, Inspector 12?
Comparing our new Hanes waistband with Fruit of the Loom, trainee. Here, pull it. Men know our Comfort Weave waistband fits better. For one thing, it's stronger.
Wow, is it?
Now pull Fruit of the Loom's band.
It's weaker.
Of course. It's no contest.
Hanes wins the battle of the bands.
That's why we put our name on it, kid.
Hanes fits better than Fruit of the Loom.
Anyone familiar with the NFL Hall of Fame certainly knows that gentleman. Pete Elliott, the executive director. We're in the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio.
Have you ever visited the PBA or the NFL Hall of Fame?
Yes, I have, and it's an unbelievable sight. Really,
Yes.
You could spend days there.
Yeah, I took my son down there a few years ago.
Sure, I go take a look at all the Cleveland Browns uniforms.
Kwolek trailing by 54. Well, already we have to start talking about potentials. He is still potential 235 if he would take it out the sheet. Means strike all the way out. Trying for one more. Right through the heart. He pointed that ball right up to the nose. Steered it up there, and it was high from the moment it left his hand.
Bob Kwolek, you may remember this, Mike. Not that I'm trying to date you. We'll get back to that in just a second.
See the swing away from his body? Now he tilts the shoulder here, and the follow-through goes right. The ball goes left. It was high when it left his hand. He's in trouble in the spare. Just got it.
I was going to relate the fact that Bob was a member of that outstanding Pfeiffer team that won the ABC, the American Bowling Congress team title. He also won the All Events title back in 1956. He was, what, probably Mr. Bowling in Detroit during that time?
Probably was.
We've had a couple of kings of bowlings. Carmen Salvino, the king of Chicago, and Bob Kwolek, the king, obviously, of Detroit.
Gives you an idea of the competition we have. I mean, when the best bowler from their area comes out, he trips the four. Tries for a little saving grace here now. The match is out of hand.
Well, he could still shoot 213.
Well, Teata's going to shoot more than 213 unless he completely falls apart here.
You're exactly right. Semiz right now working on a turkey and bowling in a 279 clip. Shot 269 in the opening game. I like his chances.
Good loft out of the lane. Trips that four again. He's going to have to make a move on that right lane, Dan, where he moves a little bit left. He's doing it with speed and loft right now, but I don't think that's going to hold up for another two matches. As we see the ball run a little bit high on this right lane, watch the two-pin, third from the left, goes to the wall and gets both the 4 and 7. He's not having a problem on the left lane because the left lane's a little tighter, but that right lane can finish high. And you see his reaction? That's the, why don't those things fall when I need them, you know?
Well, it's always easier when you're 66 ahead. Teata Semiz been superb as he popcorns the 5 out, and well, he threw 10 strikes in the opening game, and he's right on pace here in game number 2.
You can have 11 this game.
Well, you've got to improve out there, Mike. Throughout the summer, we've enjoyed the cooperation of all of our host bowling centers, the proprietors from all of the bowling centers we visited this summer. We'd like to thank all of those fine folks. It's been a great, great summer for bowling on ESPN. We just want to let the proprietors know that we appreciate everything that they've done for us. Bob Kwolek with a strike on the right-hand lane, and he is bowling more for pride now, Mike, I suppose, than anything else.
Well, he can still finish with 213 if he goes all the way.
Teata Semiz is already a winner. And Glenn Allison, I'm sure, has had a keen eye on this match. Glenn next on the step ladder. He qualified the number 2 slot.
Right there. Well, it puts him over 200 anyway.
Bob Kwolek has really bowled well here at the Hall of Fame lanes, Mike, but he just can't seem to get over the hurdle and win that first title.
Well, he just has trouble getting out of the gate, then. He's a little slow out of the blocks, and boy, you make a mistake like he made, too, in the first 3 frames on the right lane, against a guy who throws 11 strikes at you, you're not going to win.
We have to mention, of course, we're just down the road from Riviera Lanes in Akron, Ohio. The winner of this title this evening gets a special invitation to participate in next year's Firestone Tournament Championship.
And you see the difference as Kwolek finishes out here with 3 perfect strikes, what pressure does. The heat's off now. He's just throwing the shot like it were practice, and those are the results. When the pressure's a little bit greater, it's a little bit harder to make that shot. And it's so hard when you're coming off fresh and you're bowling a guy who's hot already.
Bob Kwolek has had some highlights in his career. Beat Pat Patterson back, and I think in 1959 on Championship Bowling, and won $12,000 one night back in 1959. So Kwolek strikes out, throws the last 5, 7 of the last 8. But it's not quite enough as he shoots 213. The man of the hour at this point, Teata Semiz. And what does it do for your confidence, Mike? It had been a while since Teata had ended up in the winner's circle, but he and Joe Berardi captured that tournament last week, and it makes you a better bowler, doesn't it?
Sure does. He's still doing it with loft. Really getting that ball well over the foul line.
Do you think that he has made the adjustment on the right-hand lane? That
well, obviously.
Well, that was a little high, though, too, Mike. I guess we're getting a little picayune when you throw him 1-3.
Strikes are strikes.
Yeah, you're right.
He might practice on this shot right here, Dan, and move a hair left.
Okay. Well, if he strikes here, it's 270 or better. If not, ooh, how about duplicate 269 games? That'd be interesting. Hurry up, ball. Oh, not quite. 7-pin will stand, and we will have back-to-back 269s if he spares. Oh, 268, I should say.
He dropped the pin.
Yeah, only averaging 268.5. Uh-oh. We'll have to get Chuck Pisano, our TV coordinator, busy now. All-time records on television. What an outstanding performance thus far by 52-year-old Teata Semiz out of Cedar Grove, New Jersey, as he congratulates Bob Kwolek. But Semiz has just been devastating here in the opening 2 matches.
10 strikes both games, 260s both games, and we see the scoreboard there. Kwolek finished with 7 strikes, but 10 strikes by Semiz there. He went high in the 4th frame, light at second ball in the 10th. He's only lost 1 hit in 2 games.
He has really bowled up a storm. Don't forget, coming up here in just a moment or so, Mike Durbin and his bowling tip.
It's always great at the Golden Gate.
Sure is. Great, friendly people.
It's great.
Great food, 75-cent breakfast, tender steaks. Your choice of hearty, delicious specials of the house.
It's great.
And the star of our show, our great big giant shrimp cocktail for 50 cents.
It's great.
And all our well drinks are 75 cents. It doesn't take a lot of money to have a lot of fun at the Golden Gate.
Come to the Golden Gate. We've got a great time waiting for you.
Showtime and Dimension Cable present Gallagher live at the Sands Hotel, August 21st through September 1st.
Tell me why? The people at the grocery store must not have kids. Otherwise, they wouldn't put the candy next to the cash register. Who's going to say it if it ain't me? I like you people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
The last few weeks, we've looked at pocket splits and how to make them. Tonight, we're going to look at so-called impossible splits, and when I should shoot for them and when I shouldn't. Well, you may ask, what is an impossible split? Well, generally, an impossible split is one where the pins are directly across from one another, such as the 4-6, the 7-10, the 8-10, or the 7-9. These splits, the pins are directly across from one another, and it becomes very difficult to try and slide it across. Generally, the only way I can make it is if I throw the ball hard at the pin and it bounces out of the pin, out of the pit, and onto the deck and hits that pin. Well, when should I go for them and when shouldn't I? Well, you have to let the situation of your game dictate to you. It may be that you're on a string of strikes and you leave the 4, 6, 7, 10. And if I go for the split and only get 7 instead of 8, it costs me 2 pins and count. Well, that 2 pins and count could cost me the match at the end of the game, or if I'm in a team event, it could cost my team the match at the end of the game. However, if I'm on an open frame or I'm on a spare and I leave one of these splits, well, then I can go for it because it would only cost me 1 pin. And though that 1 pin may cost you at the end of the game, let your own best judgment decide at that point. If I do decide to go for the split, how should I try and shoot it? Well, generally, the only way we can make these splits is to try and throw as hard and straight at them as you possibly can. Mark Roth is the only bowler to make the 7-10 on television, and he did it throwing hard at the 10-pin, and it bounced out and got the 7 and enabled him to win the match he was bowling. So I've got the 7-10 up here, and that's what I'm going to try and do. Throw hard at the 10-pin, rather, see if I can bounce it out and hit that 7. And I might say I've been bowling for over 35 years, and I've only made this split 1 time. Again, I'm going to shoot it just like I would a 10-pin, standing over here on the 37th board and aiming right at the 3rd arrow, and I'm going to throw hard and straight. There you have it. I made even the 7-10. It must just be my day. A little review of the principles we've covered this summer. Remember, spares on the right side of the lane, I want to move to the left. Spares on the left side of the lane, I want to move to the right. Spares in the center of the lane or splits in the center, I want to use basically my strike target. And remember, your strike target may differ from the one we used here. We used the 2nd arrow most of the time here. Your strike target may be the 2nd arrow, the 3rd arrow, or even the 4th arrow. The thing is to keep in mind the principles that I've taught you this summer and the moves that I've given you this summer. Put them into practice and your spare game will improve. Hope to see you again next year.
Teata Semiz is hot as a firecracker right now, averaging better than 268 for his first 2 games, but he'll have to run into Glenn Allison coming up next.
Give me a light. Bud Light. Cold but chilly.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light. No, Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Commitment, experience. It all comes together when you work with the best. Master Mechanic Tools, only from True Value Hardware Stores. At the Indianapolis Speedway, or in your own garage, they're backed by True Value Hardware Stores' commitment, experience, and exclusive customer satisfaction policy. Master Mechanic Tools, exclusively from True Value Hardware Stores and Home Center.
Billy Martin may be back in Yankee pinstripe.
The latest news.
Oklahoma and Nebraska are tied at 21 with a minute remaining.
Scores updated every 5 minutes.
Jack Nicklaus has just won the Masters.
The biggest stories, the fastest scores, just a phone call away all day, every day. ESPN Dial Sports, 1-900-976-1313. The numbers for scores, headlines, and ESPN program information. ESPN Dial Sports, 1-900-976-1313.
This week on ESPN, it's the North Star Bank Hamlet Challenge, August 23rd and 24th, live at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's the final tune-up for the U.S. Open, which will be played on the same surface, so keep your eyes peeled. Tennis on ESPN. Here's a look at the prize list for this week. On top, $16,000, $8,500 for second place, and so on down the line. Fifth place finisher, Carmen Salvino, receiving $4,000 here this evening.
And our runner-up so far, or the man who's in the second position, qualified there, is Glenn Allison, a 4-step player. Last PBA title was in 1964. Pushes the ball away, classic style, free swing, left arm out for balance, follow through straight up. Notice the open hand release. Glenn has always done that throughout his career. Most guys, when they finish up, have those fingers tucked into the palm. Glenn, who used to lift the ball as hard as anybody, always finished with the hand open that way. And if there's anybody that's kind of a sentimental favorite here tonight, it would have to be probably Glenn Allison, who, as I said, his last PBA title was in Oxnard, California in 1964. I didn't start bowling on the PBA Tour until 1967, and I've retired.
Teata Semiz has retired a few players this evening. Opening shot, semifinal game, and Teata Semiz picks up right where he left off with a strike in the first. The all-time strike record for 4 games on national television, 38 strikes, and right now Teata has an even 20. Glenn Allison employing the conventional grip. Mike, you took a look at his grip before we started this evening.
And what we mean by conventional is that the middle 2 fingers go all the way into the second joint. Most of the players use the fingertip when the fingers go into the first joint. Allison playing deeper than Semiz, comes in light, knocks out the 10. And I talked to Glenn earlier, asked him what the key was for him tonight, and he said concentration. Watch the 6-pin, second from the right. The ball's going to deflect here. Watch it deflect, and then get your eye on the 6-pin. And it just goes out and gets that 10. But I'm telling you, Dan, right now, that I think this is a crucial shot in this match right now in the second frame. He's got to put some pressure on Semiz the way Teata's bowling. And he's got to get out to an early lead if he wants to win.
Semiz has a very loose and free arm swing going. But when you're averaging 268 for 2 games, that's pretty easy. Plenty of room this time, and Allison walks away, and luckily so, leaving just the 2.
Just didn't throw the ball the way he wanted to. Wanted to get that double, gave it too much room and didn't make it back. 28 years a PBA member.
6 300 games. Of course, on one night back on July 1st, a few years ago, he shot 3 300 games in a row. 36 consecutive strikes. It was not sanctioned. But 36 in a row, I don't care where you're bowling, is, well, it's the all-time best.
Then he came here after that and shot a 300 in the Pro-Am here.
That's right. So he knows how to shoot perfect games. And there you see what Anthony Teata Semiz accomplished last week. And I'd better believe that his partner Joe Berardi is probably watching this championship round this evening. That one got plenty of room, and guess what? It came firing back. And rather than move left, it appears as if Teata Semiz is throwing the ball further right, Mike.
Well, he's doing it with loft and turn and speed. He's giving it well out of the lane. Watch how far this ball goes over the foul line. High backswing. See that loft? Must be out 4 feet, 5 feet out of the lane. Now it hits that dry part of the lane, comes flying back. He knows it's there.
All grows quiet here at the Hall of Fame Lanes in Canton, Ohio. Semifinal match of the $115,000 Kessler PBA Seniors Championship. Final stop on the 86 PBA Summer Tour. Lifted up a little bit and slashed the rack. A 7-pin tickled, but will not fall.
And that is only the second hit that he has failed to carry when he hit the 1-3 pocket. Watch the deep knee bend, the long slide. Look at the eyes on the target. Not up until after he let the ball go. Now he knows it's light. You can see from his body English, he's thinking, come on, get up.
Hard to believe, Mike, that Teata was 8, 9, and 1 in match play this week.
And still made the top 5.
Because he averaged better than 232.
Ooh, he missed the 7-pin here last year that cost him dearly.
I wonder if visions of 1985 were rolling through his head. Teata with a 9-pin lead. Glenn Allison struck in his first attempt on lane 40 and needs to get it back in the wheelhouse because Teata Semiz is just on a streak here this evening.
Allison, who lines up using his right foot. Most players use their left. Over about the 12th board, comes into the pocket, solid. And again, very big shot coming up for Glenn Allison right now on lane 39. He picked the finish on this lane. We see the style of Glenn Allison, the push away with both hands, the free swing, the knee bend with the right knee, the long slide, the good follow through, the left arm out for balance.
Look at those fingers. It's almost as if he's waving at the pins goodbye. Unusual, very unusual.
Allison playing this lane 1 board tighter with his feet.
Could go ahead if he strikes here. Sets it a little bit short. It's down on one knee, and he sweeps from home. So Glenn Allison, who hasn't won in 22 years, is doing his darndest to maybe get himself into the championship match. Stay tuned.
It's a question of taste. If you had your pick of 2 cereals, both with 100% nutrition, would you pick the one with just one kind of flake? Or Kellogg's Just Right with 3 different kinds of flakes, plus hearty rolled oats, plump raisins, sweet juicy dates, and crisp crunchy nuts? You're not alone. 3 out of 4 people picked Just Right over every other high vitamin cereal. There was no question of nutrition. It was simply a question of taste. Kellogg's Just Right with fruit or whole grain.
When that first warning itch of athlete's foot strikes, you want to stop that itch in seconds. Not even the leading remedy says it can do that. But Absorbine Junior can. Absorbine Junior also kills athlete's foot fungus on contact. So when that first warning itch of athlete's foot strikes, why wait 24 hours for relief when Absorbine Junior can stop that itch in seconds? Absorbine Junior can do that. It really can.
Next to the Canadian Rockies and located in the green rolling foothills of Alberta, Spruce Meadows is the world's finest horse sport facility. It has a tradition of warm Alberta hospitality. The Calgary Stampede and host city for the '88 Winter Olympic Games is just a few minutes away. In September, the Spruce Meadows Masters will again attract the world's best competitors. Please join us in the celebration of the horse, an Alberta tradition.
Testing your memories just a bit. Past winners of this championship. The very first was played down in New Orleans. Bill Beach captured that one.
And Larry Miller won in '82, and he beat Bill Beach.
How in the world did Dick Weber win in '83?
I wonder how. That made him a champion in 4 different decades.
That's right. What a win.
Carmen Salvino beat Jim Schroeder in 1984, and of course Billy Walden beat Bob Kwolek last year.
There's the commissioner of the Professional Bowlers Association, Joe Antonora. Joe, burning the candle at both ends, working in the office this week in Akron, and of course making the trip down for each and every night block. Really enjoys watching the seniors play. And boy, they have put on a show this week.
Semiz, who hasn't been behind since the opening match to Salvino early, trails by 1.
Teata has been a striking machine. This one a little bit wide. And once again, a very big break. When Teata has made a mistake, Mike, he's gotten away scot-free.
Scot-free, leaves only the 5-pin where he can practice. He just didn't get out of this ball clean. He barely gets a piece of the head pin. The head pin does not hit the 2, goes to the wall, gets the 4, and the 4 falls into the 2. Leaves only the 5, could have been the 2-4-5 or worse. Saves count. Practices on the spare.
What do you mean practices on the spare, Mike?
Well, the 5-pin is basically the same shot as a strike shot, so you kind of maybe move your feet a half a board one way or the other and just make that shot because you know you got a little room to make it.
So in other words, he's lining up perhaps for the next shot on lane 40.
Right. You always got to be thinking ahead.
Good tip for the amateur players. If there's one thing that Teata Semiz does better than bowl, it may be sing like Frank Sinatra. For any of you who have ever heard that, he's outstanding.
I told my wife as Teata strikes one more time that those are the only people I'm envious of, that people can sing.
Oh, I know Frank Sinatra is his favorite. And once in a while, when he's out with Weber and Harry Smith and that whole bunch, they'll coax him into standing up and singing a few bars.
A couple big shots coming up for Glenn Allison.
Allison working on a double, leads by 2, and shooting in the 5th frame.
Needs to keep his speed up on the right lane here. Just no lift on that shot at all. Just dropped off his hand, no lift, leaves the 5-pin. As he let it go, watch the release here. The thumb is down a little bit. Right here, he just lets it off his hand. And the ball is just spinning in the oil here. Watch it when it hits the pins, it's going to bounce right. And he's lucky he didn't leave the 5-7. Again, he'll practice a little bit at the 5-pin. Has the spare.
56-year-old Glenn Allison out of Whittier, California, posted the best match play record of our television finalists this evening. He won 13 of 18 games, averaged a whopping 242.5 on the championship pair, had a high game of 287 this week. Very
Allison,
determined, and he needs a strike here.
Right. Allison losing that ball a little bit is frequent among the seniors. A lot of them use the same pitches in the ball that they've used for 20 years. And they're not as strong at 50 as they were at 25 as Glenn stuffs it in there. So sometimes those pitches need to be adjusted.
It's amazing. 20 years has gone by, but when they need a strike, they run up there and they just flush it right in that pocket, just like the old days.
Well, those competitive juices don't stop. Semiz, trailing by 1, can take the lead. He can strike on lane 40. Real loft that time. Right through the heart of the pins. Again, gets the good break. And he's struggling a little bit on lane 40. We said that maybe he should move that line a little bit left, and he's trying to do it with loft and speed.
This ball, Mike, seemed to overreact almost from the get-go.
He stayed behind it pretty good. Gets it way out on the lane, but it starts biting right here. It's got no chance to strike right there. And again, no split. At the 3-6. Has the spare. And it stays a 1-pin match. Teata having no trouble with lane 39.
Teata having a very difficult week last week despite the victory. His 7-week-old daughter had open heart surgery last week. She's doing fine, we understand, home from the hospital. But that's a lot on your mind when you're trying to work.
Smith's working on his good lane.
Good lane and good shot on lane 39 for Teata Semiz. Outstanding semifinal match. Stay tuned. We'll have the conclusion right after this.
True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
Save energy and money by using Tuck duct tape to seal leaks in air conditioning and heating ducts, as well as around doors and windows. In August, get a 60-yard roll of Tuck duct tape for just $2.99. Look for the Hardware Value of the Month banner at most True Value hardware stores and home centers.
And tell them Pat Summerall sent you.
Has been a test. If it has caused a real pizza emergency, you are instructed to go directly to Pizza Hut and order their famous pan pizza with your favorite toppings.
Beginning this fall, throughout the country, a new dimension will be added to league bowling. Now, all amateur league bowlers can put the power of 100% handicapping with their league scores to win fantastic cash prizes right in their center. Get in on the excitement of this multi-million-dollar event at your center. Enter the GT Amateur Bowling Tournament, the League Bowlers Tournament.
I still smile when I think about the bride's mom who came to me looking for frames to match a dress for her daughter's wedding. But we found the perfect frames. And then she changed her mind about the dress several times. Luckily, we have lots of frames at Pearl.
Pearl people not only know how to help you choose the right eyewear, they care.
Luckily, the wedding day came. Luckily, she only has 2 more daughters.
Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Teata Semiz and Glenn Allison are deadlocked in a nail-biter, Mike, and they do have similar games in some aspects.
Well, they certainly do. Teata is a 5-step player, Allison a 4-step player. The thing to watch with both of them, though, is what happens on the next to last step. Watch his right knee bend right here, how deep he gets it, and then that long slide. Then you watch Allison, as he pushes with 4 steps. Next to last step, watch the right knee bend. Not quite as deep, but very similar between the two. They look very similar right at that point. Teata goes right on through. Look at that left arm back. Watch Allison's left arm. 2 fine styles from 2 experienced players and been stars for a number of years. Right now, Glenn Allison is throwing a very important shot on lane 40, the lane that's giving both players the most trouble.
Allison leads by 1, but that's not nearly enough. Historic evening there, back in 1982. Looking for the double, backing up, running it out. Swishes the 5, but it rolls over and lays dead next to the 7.
Again, not enough lift with the fingers. He's going over the top of the ball. He's throwing a spin shot, but he's just not getting the lift right here with the fingers. And the ball deflects. It barely gets the 5. Salvino carried a hit like that. Glenn's hoping that the ball will roll up a little bit more, but it just didn't.
I've noticed one thing. The seniors haven't lost those icy stares as they look at those standing pins through the years. I think that's something that you just learn to hang on to.
And as I look at Glenn Allison there, he's always reminded me of Arnold Palmer. To me, he looks just a little bit like Arnold, but I always thought of Glenn Allison as such a class gentleman in the sport of bowling as Palmer is in the sport of golf.
And the facial reactions, you normally have a pretty good idea of what he's feeling.
Needs to strike here to keep his 1-pin lead. Light again, and leaves the 10. And he is losing the ball just a hair, and that's all it takes. It's just a hair.
That's interesting you said that, Mike, losing the ball, because just prior to the championship round this evening, Glenn told us that the ball felt better in his hand this evening than it did last night in the final 6 games.
As he comes through here, it's almost imperceptible. It's just a kind of an ooze. It's off the thumb just a little bit too quick, and the fingers are not lifting it enough.
And if the grip isn't absolutely perfect, it is tough to strike.
What I do in those situations, when I'm perplexed with that, as he gets the spare, is I either try and put a half a strip of tape in, or if that still doesn't feel comfortable, I blow in the thumb hole.
What's that do?
That seems to create a moisture and creates just a little bit more snug feeling for me in the thumb hole.
We are even Steven right at this point. Teata Semiz.
Semiz with a hammer in his hand, if he can master the right lane. Really gave it room, and it still went high, and again, no split. He's got to move the line left. He's got to do the same thing that Kwolek did at the end of his match. He's trying to do it with speed and loft, and he really used speed and loft in that shot, and it's still hooked.
For some reason or other, Mike, I'm looking back at last week's game with Billy Walden, who struck for a couple of games on the right-hand lane, just stayed in the same spot, it seemed, throughout the entire match. The rest of the matches, and really struggled on the right-hand lane because it broke down.
And we saw that go high again as he shoots the 3-6-10, makes the spare barely. You're right. Billy Walden did the exact same thing, and it was on the right lane again. Perhaps the TV lights are affecting that right lane, drying it up just a little bit, and they're not making that adjustment.
But along with the lights, Mike, when you keep throwing the ball like these pros do as accurately as they do in the same spot time after time after time, sooner or later it has to break down, doesn't it?
And what we have right now is the same as if there were a tie match, because we have a 9th and 10th frame to win here.
We haven't had a tie all summer.
Big shot here, foundation frame. This is his favorite lane. Gives us a lot of room. Comes back and rips him out. Boy, big shot there. I didn't think that would make it back, but it did.
So the pressure pendulum swings back to Glenn Allison, and here is a look at the strike, the big strike of Teata Semiz, who gave it lots of room. Trust is a must, and he ripped the rack.
And it was interesting. I was trying to figure out what pin hit the 8 pin there. It was looking like it was the 2 pin. It wasn't the 5. The 5 went in front of it.
Glenn Allison, the oldest player on tonight's telecast, at 56.
And the most important shots of his career, or in the last 22 years anyway, coming up right now. All right, he made that adjustment. Stays even. And he gets to finish on lane 39, which is the easier of the two, it appears. Watch and see if it gets the ball over the line a little bit better this time. Still looks like he's losing it just a little bit. The ball was closer to the 3rd arrow. See the spin. Flush.
Also seemed like he tightened up his line a little bit that time.
He did tighten up his line. Big shot right
down
there.
On one knee and shake that fist. Big strike for Mr. 900.
A couple years ago, he was in the same situation against Dick Weber, and he left the 5-7.
He got all of that one.
Oh, and he carries. Boy, that ball held all the way.
He knew it all the way. He got that one at the foul line. He knew he had strike. Straightened it out a little bit, not hooking it quite as much. And with his slow speed, he can afford to get the ball into the oil a little bit. It still comes back.
Well, the strategy here, him picking to finish on lane 39 may be the key, because Semiz is struggling on lane 40, and now Teata definitely has to strike on that right lane. Allison, one more. He cannot shut out Teata Semiz.
Best he could shoot would be 228, but Teata could match that. set that one short again. This one.
Oh, he knocks the 10-pin out.
And the lane is not even re-racked yet. That was such a soft strike. Oh, what a beautiful stroke that was.
The thing to watch is as he lays it what you call a little bit short, down close to the foul line. Watch the 10-pin. The 6-pin barely nicks it as it goes around. It just clips it. See, it looks like it almost missed it, and it just caught it.
22 years of frustration. You see it right there. 1964.
But this shot is just as important. He must strike here or he can still lose.
Taking plenty of time. Key shot, lets it go. Down on one knee, it's a little light, but needs some help, and he gets it. Everybody ganged up on the 7-pin, and Allison rises to the occasion, strikes out, and shoots 228, which now sets the stage for Teata Semiz, who must strike out just a tie.
And Glenn Allison says, I've done my part. I'm going to sit down and watch. See what kind of adjustment Teata makes on this right lane.
Gone high the last couple of shots. He has struggled.
Very little time. He moved into the second arrow. And that's why he was trying to play out further, because he was afraid the ball wouldn't hit, and it didn't. Leaves a solid 5.
What looks like a sure victory for Teata Semiz heading into this match. When he started with a double, turns out to be a victory for Glenn Allison. Semiz bowling awfully well, but you're right, he made the key adjustment, the big adjustment, first shot in the 10th, and I don't know, Mike, I think if he'd have played the same angle that he had been playing, I don't think he could have struck. I think he had to make the move.
He did make the right move. It's just that he wasn't sure what that ball would do, but he had to strike, so he made the bold move, got the ball to the 1-3, but it wasn't enough on it to knock out the 5.
If Teata strikes, it's 208, but he'll bow out with third place money of $6,200. There's the shot he was looking for. Fine round of applause for Teata Semiz, who in the last couple of weeks has really put on a marvelous bowling show. There's the congratulatory handshake of Glenn Allison, the winner of match number 3. The final score in that match, of course, Allison winning by 26, 228 to 208. But Mike, it was the key striking out in the 10th that really made the difference. Teata Semiz shot 735 for 3, but it wasn't quite good enough. Coming up next, Glenn Allison will take on top seed Bus Oswalt.
There's a special kind of Cadillac, the new 1986 Seville, the ultimate Cadillac. Very new, very sophisticated, with road manners to match. You could call the 1986 Seville the new essence of elegance. Best of all, it's a Cadillac.
Save thousands now with 6.9 financing at Cashman Cadillac.
You don't have to be a star to be married at the Little White Chapel in Las Vegas, but you can have the same ceremony that Joan Collins requested on her wedding day. Or let us assist you in creating your own very special day to remember. We'll start by picking you up at your hotel in our elegant white stretch Lincoln limousine, and then cater to your every wish. Weddings start at just $25. That's the Little White Chapel, 1 mile north of the Sahara Hotel on the Strip in Las Vegas.
For a limited time, when you buy selected Plum hammers, we'll give you a convenient place to keep them, free.
Saturday, ESPN is your ticket to live semifinal excitement at the last stop before the U.S. Open. John McEnroe and Yvonne Lendl lead a strong field at the Hamlet Challenge, and everyone's in top form. The Hamlet Challenge semifinals, live Saturday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
Teata Semiz was near perfect all night long, but when he needed that first strike in the 10th, Mike just couldn't seem to come up with it.
Well, he made the move left with his feet and with his target on lane 40 that he'd been struggling on the entire third match. Watches the shot, watch the delivery over the target, the good follow through, but he's into the closer to the second arrow. He'd been out around that 7th board. The ball's going to hit the 1-3 part. Watch it deflect. It bounces right. Not enough drive, leaves the 05 pin. Teata trying to help it out, and the dejection knowing that he's lost.
A big gamble there But he obviously had to take it. Didn't feel like he could strike shooting the same line that he had throughout most of the evening. There you see it. 228 to 208, a 20-pin victory for Glenn Allison, who now is just one game away from winning his first PBA title in over 2 decades.
And I think the record for that was Les Zykes waited 14 years to win from Waukegan to Waukegan. Glenn Allison is trying to go from Oxnard to Canton.
That's a long way. Players have, I don't think, finished up all their practice shots, but I'm not really sure. I guess they're probably pretty close at this point. Bus Oswalt, we might point out, before the semifinal match starts, the top-seeded player is allowed to have 4 practice shots on the championship pair, but he decided not to take them tonight, Mike.
Well, Buzz is a very casual player, very relaxed player. He's a 5-step player, holds the ball low like this, very short backswing. He's as accurate as they come, and he's as cool as they come. Backswing shoulder height, which is higher than I thought it was. Short follow-through, but he's always in the pocket, always around the target. Average 240 here, and so something for his abilities. This is his first seniors event ever, and he ran away from it with the field.
He skipped the 2 tournaments earlier this year, last week's tournament down in Erlanger, and of course the opening stop in Las Vegas, because he was so busy at home working that he just couldn't get out. And I guess some of his friends said, hey, Bus, I know you're making money here, but get out there and bowl and see what you can do. And obviously they were right in sending him out, because he led this tournament from wire to wire. Opening shot, championship match, Glenn Allison on the left-hand lane.
Is it too much room? Ooh! Pin fell right around that 7-pin.
Soft shot there. Gave it plenty of room. The 3 shots he threw in the 10th of the semifinal game were just pretty as a picture.
Especially the first 2, you know. Cross lane at the 7-pin. Get himself out of here with a spare to start the match. And he has it. No problem.
Bus Oswalt, he is the youngster on tonight's telecast. Is 50, 6'2", 195. 17 years he's been a PBA member. Captured the National Resident Pro Championship. That does not count as a PBA national title. His first effort right through the nose and the Greek church.
And it just appeared he was a bit slow and a bit nervous on that shot. The ball was in close to the 14th board as he let it go. I know his target is out around 12. As you watch him throw this shot, it's left of the target here, way left. It's close to the 3rd arrow, and he's aiming a couple boards right at that. It bites right here. 5 he gets. He's going to aim at the 3 on the right and hope to slide something over and hoping something good happens. And it doesn't. 8 out gives Allison the early lead.
That's a nightmare to start with in a title match.
Well, if you're going to get 5 and 8, it's better to do it when you're not going to lose count than it is later on. So if there's a silver lining at all to that, we see there 17 years a member.
8 300 games in his career. Had a high effort of 290 this week. He's got to shift into high gear in a hurry, though. His shot looks much better. Flush, and he strikes. So Oswalt bounces back in the second.
And everybody has chosen to finish on lane 39. Allison is going to have to finish on the tougher lane 40, the lane that has given the players the most trouble tonight.
This is Glenn's first appearance in the championship round this year, and the first since he finished 3rd in this tournament back in 1983. So obviously the Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio have been a very friendly place to bowl, and Allison stuffs that shot on the right-hand lane, and he seems to have made a pretty nice adjustment on lane 40, Mike.
Well, he's holding on to the ball just that little bit better right now and getting a little more fingers in the shot. Right now, he's got his opponent down, though, and Glenn knows that to win, you got to stomp on him early. Put that pressure on him. So he wants to double here to get out to an early, quick lead. He's in the lead by 12, but he can increase it to 22 if he can get one more.
A member of the PBA's Hall of Fame, inducted back in 1984, and this is one of the reasons why, because he strikes when the pressure is on. He's doubled to open up here in the title match.
And Glenny, who hasn't won in 22 years, was running that one out all the way. Right over about the 13th board. It starts finishing flush now, and he's running it backwards. Perfect.
That's the old TWA shot there. Wing spread.
Oswalt needs to double. Gives this one more room. Oh, a solid 10. The first one we've seen tonight by anybody. And a few weak 10s. But that 6 wrapped right around it. Watch that 6-pin. Second from the right. It goes right around that 10. Bad break for Oswalt. Keeps Allison in the lead by 22.
It's got to make him feel a little more confident, though, Mike, the fact that he did throw the ball in the pocket on the right-hand lane.
Cross lane at the 10-pin. Has the spare.
The only other time that Bus ended up on national television, bowling as a PBA member, was back in 1976 when he bowled in the Buffalo Open. In that tournament, he won 20 of 24 matches and qualified 5th. That's pretty close to the all-time record that Pappas owns.
Was Pappas 21?
22 and 2, I think, is what it was. Yeah, anytime you win 20 matches on the PBA National Tour, you've done something right. And that is another problem indeed, an 8-10 split.
And that ball appeared, if my ears are not deceiving me, as my eyes do sometimes, that it hit the thumb hole right at the end of the lane, and ball definitely deflected, leaves the 8-10. I bet he hasn't left an 8-10 all week long.
I watched virtually every game of the tournament, and don't ever remember that happening, Mike. When you average 240, you don't leave much of anything. So Bus Oswalt, who just barely nicks the 8-pin, tried to slide it over. Ball tilted back and forth, but he's dug himself a very deep hole at this stage. Glenn Allison, who's running him out, leads by 36 in the title match.
Celebrating the biggest nationwide sale in Dutch Boy history. Right now, all over the country, quality Dutch Boy paint is on sale at incredible savings. It's our most spectacular paint sale ever. Hurry into your paint retailer because supplies are limited, and with prices as low as these, you don't want to miss out on a great value like this. The Dutch Boy nationwide paint sale. Prices so low, they'll blow you away.
Dutch Boy never lets up. He always looks good. He works hard for your money.
Want to see this dull, dry hair disappear? Like magic?
Try some magic.
A touch of VO5 hair dressing's 5 natural conditioners makes hair easy to manage, healthy looking, and naturally neat. Try some magic. VO5 every day.
This has been a test. If it has caused a real pizza emergency, you are instructed to go directly to Pizza Hut and order their famous pan pizza with your favorite toppings.
For a limited time, when you buy selected plum hammers, we'll give you a convenient place to keep them, free.
Upcoming on ESPN, it's the International Festival of Racing. Weeknights live at 5 p.m. Eastern, concluding Thursday, August 28th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, live, and the site is the Arlington Park in Illinois. And our site for the tournament this week, the final stop, the Hall of Fame Lanes in Canton, Ohio. Janet Bueller, the proprietor, just another outstanding year for her, and she can't do enough for you, Mike Durbin, nor the other folks here in Canton.
Puts on a tremendous tournament every year here. Allison, up by 36, can just really take a commanding position with a couple more strikes here.
Bus Oswalt has certainly given him some help with splits in the first and the fourth. And Glenn Allison working on a double leads by 36 and would be off to the races if he struck here.
Oh, knocks that 10-pin out of there.
Allison can smell it already.
He certainly can. And watch the 6-pin nick the 10-pin this time. Allison appeared to lose that ball too, but it rolled back solid.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of the PBA staff members that have worked so closely with us all summer long. Of course, the National Tournament Director, Harry Golden, Assistant National Tournament Director, Harry Smith, Public Relations Director, Bud Fisher, and in the press room all summer long, the incomparable Tour Press Director, Johnny Campos, and also Broadcast Director, Jeff Pyatt. And let's not forget our TV Coordinator, Hall of Famer, Chuck Pisano. Allison likes it, and oh my, up jumps an 8-10 as he grimaces when he turns around. And Oswalt is still in the ballgame.
Oswalt, watch the ball deflect. The 5 is going to go in front of the 8. The ball will deflect to the right, and the 5 goes in front of the 8. The ball just was in the oil too much, not enough lift. He needs to get 1 here to save the count. And he does. But that keeps Oswalt within 32 pins. He's not very much alive, but he's still alive.
Time is of the essence. He must double.
If Allison would have struck there, he would have taken the lead of over 50 pins.
This effort is going to have to be strike, or he is going to have difficulty. Oswalt with his back to the wall, hit the pocket with the last shot on this lane, jumps up and strikes. So you have to start, you have to strike one at a time.
Buzz with 54 in the 4th frame, strike up in the 5th. This ball finishes better, the 6 pin, second from the right this time, knocks out that 10. Most important shot of the week coming up right now for Bus Oswalt, though. He is down 32, can cut into that lead to 22 if he can double here.
Crucial double, and Bus never wastes much time in heading to the foul line. Stretches out, lets it go, leans down, and strikes. Big double for Bus Oswalt.
He's lined up now. Let's see how Allison can react to that 8-10, if he can shake it off and come back and start throwing strikes again.
Oddly enough, Mike, it seemed as if lane 40 was the tough lane for the professionals tonight, but the open for Allison occurred on the left-hand lane.
And the 8-10 occurred for Oswalt on the left lane. Knocks that 7 pin out of there. Looked like it might roll a little high.
That's the old rollout shot, Mike.
Big shot coming up for Allison now in the 7th frame.
He's answered the challenge, did so in defeating Teata Semiz in the semifinal game, 228 to 208. That was a pressurized affair.
It really is hard to come back on a lane that you've left a pocket split on, and where you thought you made a good shot, and then try and throw it back there and not be worrying about that 8-10 again. It's solid. Boy, he did it, though, I'll tell you what.
Like a couple of heavyweights throwing those heavy right hands. Oswalt with a beautiful double, and Allison steps up and says, hey, I'm right in the thick of this. You're going to have to beat me down the stretch.
Buzz down by 32 again. Has to keep striking. Right over the target. Right. And gets a break. Woo-wee. What a break there.
The thing that amazes me, though, Mike, is that Bus never really reacts too much to what happens out there. But inside, you know, his stomach has to be churning.
And there's the old wall shot, and the 7-pin falls so late. Woo. Buzz is watching.
Look at those eyes, though. He's a little intense at that point.
Down by 22, can cut it to 12 with one more strike. And, boy, that's perfect.
A four-bagger for Oswalt, who has bowled beautifully since the 8-10 on lane 39.
Allison has to keep the pressure on him. He has not missed the right lane this game. Taking a little extra time here, trying to get that concentration together, thinking about what he wants to do on this shot, how he wants to deliver the ball.
He said specifically, the whole key to his bowling well this week was his concentration.
Right. Not the lift. Leaves the 2-8. That keeps it at 10 pins. He must make this to maintain the lead. If he misses this, Bus Oswalt goes in the lead.
Mike, this is not an easy spare. How do you convert it?
I shoot it off the strike target. Move 5 or 6 boards to the right and use my strike target.
Allison with a deep breath just to relax. Oh,
he's in trouble.
And he knew it as soon as he let it go. So there now is the big break for Bus Oswalt. And now Oswalt, sitting on the bench, trails by only 2.
And he just was afraid it wouldn't make it up, and he put it way left of target and knew it right away. He's got to get his composure back together There we see the conventional grip. He's got to get his composure back together, strike here in the 9th frame to set up a chance for a big 10th frame. Hard to do after you've made an error like that, to be ahead by so much and now be behind. He's there, leaves the weak 10, and 22 years of frustration may not be ending.
Bus Oswalt shutting his eyes and hazard a guess that he may be saying a few prayers at this point, just hoping to have a chance.
And again, not enough lift. Lost the ball again a little bit. There's the result. Just won't knock over that weak 10.
Lackadaisical 6-pin. Just didn't quite get it done. Important thing now to convert the spare, and he does.
He's in big trouble, though. He has to hope that Oswalt does not strike on this ball. If Oswalt strikes here, it's almost history. And I don't like that rack on lane 40. If I were bowling, I wouldn't shoot it.
Well,
looks like it's an open pocket to me.
We did not have a re-rack among the competition this evening. The seniors don't waste a whole lot of time.
Solid. And Bus Oswalt, who appeared dead, has come back to life. Now leads by 12. One more, and he is going to lock out Glenn Allison.
Trailed at one point by 46 pins and has come storming back as a possible 234. The best Glenn Allison could do if he struck out would be shoot 212.
The 8-10, the key shot back in the 5th frame. Allison was up by 36 pins at that time, could have gone to a lead of over 46 pins. Left the 8-10. Right there. And leaves the 8-10 again. Is it going to stand? It is. Allison has life.
Holy mackerel, did you see that?
3 8-10s.
Back and forth, back and forth. Oswalt felt he threw a very good shot.
We have a possibility of a tie here. Any number of things can still happen. He's got to get one. He can't afford to miss this pair. And he's playing it cute. He went definitely for one. Wind up with an even 200. Allison goes over to check the score. What Glenn needs to do is 9 spare strike. He must fill 19 in the 10th frame. The second 8-10 of the match for Oswalt as the ball deflects. He was over the target in the pocket, and we see the 8-pin rocking. He thought it would strike and leaves the split.
Some very unhappy folks in Muncie, Indiana, the home of Bus Oswalt. When you think back to the 4th frame when Bus left the 8-10 and neglected to pick up one of the pins, boy, that could really be a telling tale in this one. Allison, as Mike said, needs to count 19 for the victory here in the 10th.
He's running it out. He's got it. Oh, what a seesaw match back and forth. And Allison says 22 years. He's got that smile of victory, but he still needs to get 9 on 2 balls.
And obviously stay well behind the foul line in the process. But that was the clutch shot. Boy, we've seen some unbelievable bowling this summer, capped off by the seniors here at the Hall of Fame lanes. Couldn't ask for anything more exciting. Glenn Allison now a study in concentration. Sees that title right before him. Just has to be careful. Swings it and leaves the 7-10. He turns around, looks into the crowd, and realizes he needs
one of these. He's got to get one of these.
Got to go for the 7, right, Mike?
I would go for the 7, yes.
I would too. Has to be easier to make the 7-pin. Here you see the shot. Allison running it out all the way. Not enough juice, though, to clinch the victory.
5 went right in front of the 7, so did the head pin. And he was thinking that he'd at least get 9 on that.
This is it for the title. Hang on. Double bounces it. Stay on the lane, and it... Oh, he barely did! Bus Oswalt with a smile on his face. You couldn't have asked for a more exciting, titillating finish than we had this evening. The fans are on their feet, and it's a shame that somebody had to lose, but you go back to the 4th frame when Oswalt didn't convert at least 1 pin on the 8-10.
I thought he had missed this, Denny. When he let it go, it was like at the 2-8. He is left of target. There's a lot of oil in the center of that lane, and right now he is praying that it will hold on. The lane is 60 feet long, and he had it measured perfect. As it falls in the channel, it nicks the 7-pin. And that's the victory. He's on the floor.
Unbelievable finish for Glenn Allison, the title match here this evening. He is the champion, the final 201 to 200.
I'm the first to leave my bed. Gotta get 'em dressed and fed. Give 'em all a little peck and some Citrus Hill Select. And their day gets going and their juices get flowing with the day supply of vitamin C. When the juice is from the heart, it's a healthy way to start. Citrus Hill Select gets your juices flowing. Citrus Hill Select gets your juices flowing.
If your home isn't already protected by this premium acrylic latex house paint, it's time you discovered beautiful True Test Weatherall from True Value Hardware stores. Weatherall goes on smoothly and resists mildew, cracking, and peeling. It protects exterior wood, stucco, and masonry in any weather. And you can choose from 3 finishes and more than 700 rich colors. So give your home the protection and beauty of True Test Weatherall house paint from participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
The essence of bobsledding.
The new sled feels like gliding on silk.
The essence of shaving.
This is Aftra Plus, an incredible advance in Gillette shaving smoothness. The Plus is the white Lubra Smooth strip that releases lubricants as you shave. You never felt anything smoother.
Aftra Plus by Gillette, the essence of shaving.
Columbia 300 knows that all bowlers are not created equal. That's why Columbia 300 has spent years in research just to have the right ball for you. If you need less weight, the light dot. Drier lanes, the white dot. The perfect all-around ball, the world-famous yellow dot. If you're ready for urethane, the Columbia 300 U dot. The wine U dot for normal conditions, and the new black U dot when you want more curve. Columbia 300 sold only in lanes and pro shops.
Mike Durbin back at the Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio. This is the 10th frame. Bus Oswalt throwing his first shot in the 10th frame. A strike would lock up his first PBA title in the seniors event. The ball appears good, goes into the 1-3 pocket, and it deflects, leaving the 8-10. Oswalt's reaction to that, he thinks it's going to strike. Now the disappointment knowing that he's left the split and left the door open for Allison to win the match. There we see the final score. Glenn Allison getting 19 pins, exactly what he needed in the 10th frame to shoot 201 to defeat Bus Oswalt 201 to 200. With our winner right now is Denny Schreiner.
Here he is, the champion, Glenn Allison of the $115,000 Kessler PBA Senior Championship. You and I chatted earlier this evening. It had been 22 years since your last PBA championship, and you told me that tonight might be the night, and it was.
Well, I felt if I could hold my concentration that I could do it. And it slipped a couple of times, but I was still fortunate enough to make it.
Glenn, you just have to do us all a favor from now on, though, the next time you win. Don't make it so tough on us.
As long as I win, I don't care how tough it is.
Aptly put. The proprietor here at the Hall of Fame lanes, Mrs. Janet Bueller. Janet, I know that you want to congratulate your champion and obviously give him the trophy.
I would like to present this trophy to you. I suppose we'll have to mail it to you. Can probably take it home. We couldn't have written a better script. And Glenn, your second time in the finals, congratulations to a great bowler.
Thank you very much.
I would like to let you know at this time that I have invited the PBA back, and our Commissioner Joe Antonora said yes, they will be here very graciously.
All right. And along with such a beautiful trophy, coming out now, Barbara Rakoff, who is the Vice President of Marketing for Kessler Whiskey. Come on out, Barbara. Oh, my, you've got a big check here for our champion.
Glenn, congratulations. On behalf of Kessler Smooth as Silk Whiskey, it's my pleasure to present you with this check for $16,000. It was a smooth as silk performance.
It really wasn't too smooth, but I know that Kessler is.
Spoken like a true veteran. Speaking of veterans, standing now to my left, Mike Durbin, who won 14 PBA championships, but you didn't wait 22 years in between, did you, Mike?
No, but I waited 7 years one time, so I know what it's like to wait a long time. One thing I want to ask Glenn, you got that first strike in the 10th frame, then you left the 7-10, and you had to make one. When you let it go, did you think you'd made the 7-pin?
I thought I made it. That side of the lane doesn't hook that much. I hadn't hooked one into the gutter yet. So I really was, I was sure that I had made it, but I've been surprised before.
Well, it looked like you had it measured just right. We're going to get a look at it right now. Well, this is going to be the first shot where you left it. And obviously, you must have thought you were going to get at least 9 on this shot.
Well, I thought I threw the ball as good as I could roll it. I thought sure I had a strike. Then when I saw that, you know, you see that look of shock in my face.
Glenn, was there ever any doubt as to which pin you wanted to shoot at to clinch the championship? I know that Harry Smith said he might like to shoot the 10, but you went right after the 7.
I went right after the 7 because I missed 6 10-pins during the tournament.
There he is, the champion of this year's $115,000 Kessler Seniors Championship. Tonight's telecast has been brought to you by Seagram's Wine Cooler. It's wet and it's dry. By True Value Hardware, more than just a name, it's their way of doing business. By delicious Citrus Hill Select Orange Juice. It gets your juices flowing. So long from Canton, Ohio, and for those of you who watched the productions all summer long, here are the people that put them together. They did an outstanding job. We'll see you again next summer on ESPN.
Nobody has lower